Hi, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Bay Waves, and thank you for tuning in. I'm Happiness, and I'll be your beautiful host for today. So I won't be driving this ship alone. I do have my amazing and super smart co-host here with me, and we'll be driving this whole thing together. I'm just gonna give them the mic to introduce themselves.
Hi guys, my name is Fabian, well known as Dr. Huawei, I don't know why. I'm here for you guys. We are from Bayways. We are here to talk to you about anything that you want us to talk about. I give it to Sir.
Hi guys, how are you? Hope you guys are good. My name is Sissa, better known as Sissa. Yeah, so I'm excited to engaging with you this evening.
All right, thank you. So guys, yes, today we're gonna be having a heated conversation. We are expecting a bit of turbulence here and there, but I promise you, we are gonna land safely. After all, we are still trying to build a better Africa for ourselves. So today we're gonna be talking about the impact of COVID on the economy. So we have a little surprise for you. We have a guest, an expert who will be giving us professional advice. So we have a young professional. He's very, very young. Yes, he's an accountant. I'll just give him the mic so that he can introduce himself. Marvin?
Hello everyone, my name is Marvin. I will be the accountant today. We will be engaging in a conversation talking about the economy and the impacts of COVID-19. And just it's almost an everyday conversation right now. I think that's some of the things we should be talking about. So I'm just looking forward to having this conversation with you guys.
Awesome. So it is said that the South African economy has contracted the first time in 11 years. So it was really, it was really bad. It went down with about like 7%, but we'll talk more about that one. We just know that the economy contracted the first time in 11 years, and this is due to lockdown restrictions. When we go back to those level 5 harsh restrictions, we are not allowed to even buy clothes, we're not allowed to buy snacks, we're not allowed to go to restaurants. Basically, everything was shut down. So do you guys think that the government went about this the right way? If not, how do you think they could have done it? Cecil, take the mic.
In terms of, can you repeat that? I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that?
Oh, I'm saying, so it is said that the South African economy contracted the first time in 11 years due to lockdown restrictions. A lot of things were closed down. We're talking restaurants, industries, basically everything was shut down, you know? So do you think that the government went about it the right way? And if not, how do you think they could have went about it?
My honest opinion is I think they did their best. Given that, the disease grows from mutation, it's the best solution that there is. There's not much I think I can say the government could have done differently, other than the fact that they've tried. Given the circumstances, they've tried.
Lufuno, what do you think?
Sure, I need to be honest with this one. I think we never knew what we were going through. We didn't know what was going on. It's like we were scared of the unknown. Some might argue that if we never had a lockdown, the economy would have been much better, which is true. But then, if then the economy was much better, who was going to, I don't even know how to say the proper word, who was going to benefit out of the economy, because we will never be there. We don't know if we're going to be there or not. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, as in from today, I think the government did the best that they could do at that moment.
All right, Takhato. Please enable your mic.
Nah, guys. Honestly, the government, I feel like every day when I wake up, I want to blame the government. So yeah, I'm blaming it, but they didn't have it. It's just a new playground for them. So it was just a matter of, let's just see if we do this, what's gonna happen. If we don't do this, what's gonna happen. They were just trialing things out in Chamanava. They did the best they could. But I still want to blame them. But actually, they tried.
But do you think they responded on time? Do you think that was like the perfect time, or they could have responded earlier?
They could have, I feel like they could have responded later.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Like, not, I can say they could have reacted maybe June, July, and then came with the harsh lockdown. Not at the time that they came in. It was so sudden. It was nearly earthquake, like so quick in a hard, and then that was it. I feel like they could have, like, by very nicely, like, hi guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. We'll be doing this, prepare yourself for this, and then after this we'll be trying, not the way for they come and be like, we're shutting it down. It was, I feel like that was harsh. Yeah.
Marvin, you can join in the conversation. Bringing your opinion right now. We're gonna need your expert advice later on. For now, bring you as part of the youth.
Personally, I feel like they could have done better. Looking at the fact that COVID-19 started in December 2019. So if we had proper functioning organs of state, we should have known about it at that time. So meaning that if we had our intelligence working proper, we could have known about that a threat which could cause a pandemic at that time. But to show that our intelligence doesn't work, we didn't know anything. They were surprised as us. So they were practically surprised as civilians, and they are practically in charge of securing a country. So I just feel like they could have done better, and we could have had maybe some sort of travel restrictions being imposed earlier to avoid the virus coming into the country and to avoid harsher lockdowns. So to me, they could have done better.
All right. So in their response or that defense, they said that they implemented the lockdown restrictions to flatten the curve and to prepare for medical health facilities. Do you think they were successful?
I think so. I personally think so.
Okay.
It worked. The first level 5 lockdown worked very well. It gave them time to borrow money, gave them time to look at what they can do and try and figure out what it is that they are facing. So it gave them time in a way. The harsher lockdown really worked in their favor, and we got some time to prepare. Even people got some time to prepare personally, emotionally, because it was so draining and depressing at the same time. So it was because people were scared of dying, and then what's killing you, you don't know anything about it. You don't know it. You can't even see it. Some say it flies in the air. Some make up things about it. So it was a really, really scary time.
Okay. Takati, you recognized?
I just wanted to ask Mr. Marvin here, guys, and all of you guys, South African intelligence, or do we have people just watching from YouTube's and Twitter accounts? I'm intelligent to South Africa. Do we have it?
Well, we have the department. We have the department. We have the budget.
We need a CSI.
We have the budget.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's news to me, by the way. I just the way South Africans function, I just feel like we have, like, if you get on Twitter, you'll find Mr. Figile Mbalula to means. So guys, I really do not think there is the Department of Intelligence. Most South Africa really is just, it's just nice vibes. We're just vibing. But yeah, I agree with Mr. Marvin. Because we saw it get 2019, it's out there, it's happening, it's affecting livelihoods. Mara, it was just vibes. Like we have imaginary protection, divine protection, if I must say. That's if he came more, can you say? So yeah, maybe if we had a functioning but again, intelligence department, we would have prepared nicely. But either way, got to prepared if we're being honest. If it hits again, we down bed, we never coming back again.
Okay, well, wait.
Okay, I do feel like we knew everything what was going on. We knew Corona. When I said we, I'm talking about the government. Yes, we are government. We knew what Corona is. We knew how deadly the Corona was. But we never had anything to protect ourselves against it. That's why even when the shutdown came to us, we were scared. Like we were scared. Like I can make a typical example with the hospital that I know, the private hospital that I know. On a weekly basis, on Fridays, they're usually full, like they're full, full, because of the incident that happened maybe during that weekend. But then with this deadly disease, and we don't know how many people we can admit, that scares a living being out of us, of which we didn't know how to handle it. And then when we were told about the total lockdown, those are the things that we see on TV. You see, and at the end of the day, we don't see good part about it. For me, when I said lockdown, I think about I'm a zombie afterwards. Like we're gonna see zombies. We're gonna see things that are scary because we don't know what's going on. In my entire life, I was never told not to come to school. I might have known about the struggle that people went through, but we were never told not to come to school. And then when they tell you not to come to school, you get scared. There's a grit of what's going to happen to me after I write my matric. There's no one employing anyone at the moment. There's no varsity. Like I wouldn't say I would go to varsity. Which varsity would I go to if we're not going to school? That's what I think. We're just scared.
Okay. So our viewers, please interact, comment in that comment section, ask questions. We would also like to hear your opinions. But guys, I don't know if you heard what I said. I said the government implemented these restrictions in order to flatten the curve, that's one. Two, to prepare medical health facilities. Were they successful?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
Not really. Please, you can't just say not really. What did they do? What did they not do?
I'm still thinking, but I'm staying at the not really. Because we still have complaints that there's no PPEs in the hospitals. We're still getting complaints about they didn't really prepare. There were no new hospitals dedicated special for, even a mobile clinic dedicated special for COVID, it was not there. Like you'd find the medical aid schemes, the mobile clinics usually. Those are the ones that I saw, but as testing stations. Otherwise, if you get into the hospital, if you're not working into the hospital, you wouldn't know where the COVID part of the hospital is, unless if you ask someone who works in there, like a person who's coming in with maybe banyaka tester for COVID. They don't know where to go because the OPD that they're using for your high blood pressures, for your weight loss, for your contraceptives is the same OPD that they would be using for testing COVID. Like when you get into I feel like they should have, when you got into the hospital, there should have been a dedicated part of the hospital where this side is only for COVID. Your testing, your vaccinations, your COVID ones will be on this side, just to separate them from the other normal ones, I think. Or maybe they could have set up mobile clinics or something. Actually, this was their chance to rejuvenate the fallen hospitals, if I might say. Like the clinic, they should have utilized them for the COVID. Yeah, I feel like that's what they should have done.
Yeah, I also think they did a good job flattening the curve because we actually saw the numbers go down. But preparing for medical health facilities, what did they do? There's no new hospital that was built. I don't know of any clinic that was built. So what did they do? Because during lockdown, there's an overflow, I want not enough beds, people are just dying. So what did they do? Oh, I saw your hand there.
Okay, basically what I wanted to say is, with the lowering of the curve, they did an excellent job. Imagine if they didn't close down the country. Imagine the infection. Imagine if we still interacting like we used to. Imagine how many people would be infected. But then with the infrastructure, the things that we can see, visually see. Oh my God. I would say no.
Okay.
I would say no in terms of there's no new infrastructure that was created throughout COVID. Even though they might have bought new equipment of which we're not sure of, but the things that us who don't work at a certain government or who don't work at a certain clinic or hospital or who has no knowledge about any hospital, I still know the hospital that I knew in 2018, they still exist. I don't know any other new hospital that was created. So that's my view.
Okay, Marvin?
Well, I think to some extent it did help, given that there were facilities that were created. I remember they repurposed some old factories into facilities for to host people, and they had some facilities in a Ford factory in collaboration with Ford, which was turned into a COVID-19 care center. So given that as a country, we didn't really need new facilities, new hospitals specifically for COVID-19. We just needed to find out how to deal with it, how to live with it. I think now COVID-19 it's a better we can have a better conversation about it. It's like how HIV has become now. 20 years ago, when you were talking about HIV, you were talking about something that's scary, something that's killing people. But now we've learned to live with it. Same thing with COVID, we've learned to live with it. You hardly leave your house without a mask. Whenever you go out somewhere, you want to socially distance. It happens naturally. So we learned to live with it. I think the most important thing was us getting to know how to deal with the situation and how to live with it. Just like flu. Flu was deadly back then, but we've learned to live with it in such a manner that we're not scared of it anymore.
Okay. All right. I hear you. So now, since we're talking about the monies, our government, our precious government, they took out a loan, 500 billion loan. We are still having debates about that loan, and this loan constitutes of 10% of the GDP. And I just read an article that says that the GDP shrank 7% compared to the 0.2% expansion in 2019. So Marvin, with your expert advice or opinion, what is GDP? Please explain to us what GDP is so that we can dwell in this conversation.
Well, GDP it means gross domestic product, which is like the total sum of products and services that were produced in a country over a particular period. In this case, over a year, since we're referring to years. So that's what GDP, and we've seen how bad it was, especially last year. This year we've seen growth, but is it real growth coming out of a recession? We've experienced a recession for like 2 years now. It's 8 quarters in total of recession, and it's been like that from 2018 going into 2019. We were already in a recession. Our GDP was contracting. We were showing signs of a recession. I mean, our GDP was already contracting there. So when we came into 2020, with COVID now, it became worse. We went into a straight recession.
Okay, so I want to know what affects the GDP and how does it affect us?
Well, GDP reflects on our spending. It talks about spending of people in a country and how much money we have. Remember, if we have more displaceable income, it means we are in a position to spend more. So if we have more money, we can spend more and we can have a higher GDP. So the government needed to do exactly that. They needed to spend money into the economy. That's why they were injecting so much money into the economy to facilitate spending, so that at least we can stay within our targets.
All right. So is it the reason why our prices, like food prices, fluctuate? Does it have anything to do with that?
Well, that has everything to do with inflation, the buying power of your rand. When you have inflation in play, it essentially reduces the buying power of the money you have in your hand. I mean, 10 Rand would buy a loaf of bread in 2010, but it can't do that now, but it's still the same 10 Rands. So that's the inflation. It reduces, it devalues the currency that you have. So it connects to spending as well. It's connected to spending in such that whenever there is more money in circulation, that money loses value. Going back to the simple principles of economics, demand and supply. The higher the supply of the money, you get the money actually being worth less. But with lesser supply, demand is higher, the prices go up.
We are learning a lot. We are still on payway.
Yes, ma'am.
Learn, and we're still building the better Africa for ourselves. There is Marvin. He's a young accountant. He's still 23, guys. I'm sure he's gonna be mad at me for exposing his age, but he's very young. But hey, we are drinking knowledge. So yes, guys, wherever you're watching, we are very educated here. We're not just blurbing nonsense. It's young professionals. So please engage. We'd also like to hear from you. Now let's talk about this 500 billion. I'm gonna be going through the budget, how they plan to spend the money. Of course, there's been some looting, but let's discuss how they plan to spend the money. Yes, so Wawa, you're recognized, but let's get to the first one. So out of the 500 billion, there was 100 billion that was set aside for protections of jobs and to create jobs. What do you guys think about that? Were there any new jobs that were created? Were jobs protected? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Wawe?
No, I wanted to speak to Martin. I wanted to ask a question to Martin.
Okay.
Okay, we're talking about GDP and the expenditure and how, and so forth and so forth. I wanted to understand, how did we end up having a reduction on our GDP whilst the country is closed and we're not buying anything anywhere else? Isn't it that time where we should have been empowering our black businesses and try to circulate money inside South Africa since our border were closed? Don't you think that would have raised our GDP?
Well, in a perfect world and a perfect scenario, that's how it should have happened, but it's not like that in the real world. I mean, we had industries which were closed, which are essential to our production. We had the mining industries being closed. We had troubles in our agriculture industry, which is one of the biggest industries in South Africa. So given those two industries, those key industries to our GDP, if they are closed, they are not functioning, then we're not making any money as a country. That's where like a huge chunk of our production is.
Okay, if I were to ask, how are we making money as a country? Are we making money by selling the services that we had to other countries? Or are we making money by, I don't understand how we make money as a country. Can you elaborate to me how we make money as a country?
Well, making money as a country in terms of GDP, it talks to us producing goods and services that are consumed in the country, some which are exported. And then when you calculate a sum of that, a sum of our production as our GDP. So and then the movements of GDP indicate how much our economy is growing or contracting. So since the movement in our GDP was negative, that meant our economy was contracting. So it meant that we were producing less than we were producing in 2019.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I think now I have a bit of understanding what GDP is and how it affects. For me, I used to believe that if I sell shoes, and then now that the country is not able to buy shoes elsewhere, then I will increase the GDP amount inside the country, of which I might be wrong.
You are. In fact, you are producing a product, and that product is participating in a market where people are buying and selling. So you are increasing, participating towards that GDP. But it's not enough compared to what the agriculture and mining are producing. Those are like huge industries producing billions of rands every day. So they were actually losing, their losses were in the billions on each and every day last year.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, back to the 500 billion. The reason why we are calling our president Rama Billion, we see these things on Twitter. Yes, now we need to discuss that 500 billion. So I have like the budget plan here. So let's see if actually they use the money according to the budget, or the money went into other people's pockets. So I did mention 100 billion was put aside to protect existing jobs and to create new jobs. Do you think that happened? Do you think they created jobs, or do you think they protected jobs? If no, if yes, please support your reason. Don't just throw in a yes and no.
I will honestly say yes. Due to there's a certain company that I know. Let's say, for example, there is a company that only works outboard. Those companies were closed, but now they're operating, which simply means even though they were not working at that period of time, at least there was something that they were getting back. But then, no, in terms of, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people lost their jobs, of which it had to happen since we were closed down and there was no money coming into the country.
Amara, we took a loan. Isn't that supposed to protect us? Like, what's the point of a loan if it's not going to help us?
You need to consider that when we took a loan, if you remember when the lockdown started, it was in a long term. I think it was 12 days. It was just a short period of time. Now we are at day number 501. I didn't keep tips. But then that loan needs to be paid back. I think that's one of the reasons why we opened. So I figure that we opened the country too early. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we opened the country too early, because we're in debt. We needed to pay some of the debts. Other than that,
before we start talking about paying it back, because that one, you're going to get 50. Let's now talk about this debt, analyze it, and let's see who's going to pay for it. Because, hey, Takhato, do you think that there were jobs that were protected, jobs that were created during this lockdown period?
Jobs created, maybe 0.5% jobs were created because the unemployment rate started rising after lockdown. People got retrenched, but then there was money set aside for no, you're not going to lose your job. This money is to protect jobs, but still people were retrenched. The unemployment rate shot up. So where did the money really go?
Where did it go? I'm also wondering. Cecil. Is Cecil still with us? Okay, I think he's having a network glitch. Marvin, what do you think?
Well, it worked and it didn't work. Yeah, that's how it is. I mean, we had grants being given to businesses, and there was a lot of wrongdoing there, but it was an issue which we never had. We never had a situation where the government had to bail out so many businesses at one time. Even first world countries failed at it. Even Australia had a similar thing. They failed at it, where businesses would just apply for grants from the government. And some businesses didn't need the grants, but they got them. Some businesses needed the grants, but couldn't get them. The money wasn't enough. And so it worked for others, and it didn't work for most people.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. So,
wait,
additional. Okay.
Wait, was the money not enough, or was the money taken for other stuff?
Let me come in there before Marvin responds. So on top of the 100 billion, there was a 40 billion, an additional 40 billion that was set aside for income support payments for workers whose employers are not able to pay wage. So now we can make it a collective amount because the reasons are the same. 140 billion that was put out there to protect and create jobs. Did the money really work?
Yeah, the money worked. Both sides. For me, the money worked both sides. For essential workers, yes, they were protected. They are still protected. But then there are companies that they're just there for the money. And we know some of those companies. Like the companies that applied, like I'm being honest, like there are companies that just applied for the grant just because there is money. Like we know there are people who do that. Even with child grant, we know there are people who do that. I don't want to call it greed. They're just people like that. And then that's where we lost as a government. But if all the money were used, what they were supposed to do, School disappeared. If then I feel like we would have worked out. It would have worked out perfectly well. But then because some of the money was just out there, maybe 20%, 80%, then comes to a fight where most of the business, a lot of businesses that needed the money, they could not have it. Because now if I said I don't know how to say this, I'm the company that makes medicine, or that, like, they will take me as a priority than a small company. And then you find that I don't even need that money. Just because I know there is money, I ended up taking that money. You see, and I know that my job is protected, or the company that we are in, it's protected, it's in danger. And then we ended up using money that could have helped elsewhere. That's where it went sideways.
But aren't there systems set in place to go through the applications and whatnot, like applying for the 350? You'd be rejected and they'll state, we are rejected because you have NSFAS, you are rejected because you have URM. Wasn't there a system like that for businesses as well when they apply for no, but you're producing this much profit and what, so you definitely do not need the money?
Remember,
honestly speaking, there was. Honestly speaking, there was a criteria that needed to be used, but we are living in a very corrupt environment. I'm sorry to say that, but we all know we're living in a very corrupt environment where people will forge things so that it works out for them. That's then, if you checked, there was a time where a lot of business closed down. A lot of rich people deleted their Instagram a lot of tender boys deleted a lot of things that I think that stage should have been done. I don't even know how to see it anymore. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say, so remember, we are in South Africa, Malawi. These systems are controlled by people, you know, and you know how it works. Go to Home Affairs tomorrow and come tell us what happened. The system is offline, so how do you expect already? And we also have people who are just trying to be greedy. Check it, they have cabs. Without landing money the cab because ba kumishite dipotla tsa bona ka tšhelete tse tsa mmušo, then ba fa batho mafufura. And I think that's actually a strategy that they use, gore they take in a lot, then ba tša mafufura ba re a soki so that we can have stories of mara nna ke tseba somebody, like I actually know somebody who was working at a certain restaurant. As we all know, restaurants were closed, but they were still getting an amount of money, you know. So in a way, they benefited from the 40 billion rands. So I think that's what they do. They just choose market. The marketing thing is strategy, basically. And then but area anything, it's not there and it didn't do what it was supposed to do. Cecil, are you back? Okay, I think we are losing Cecil. Marvin, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we need to remember that most people who were employed and registered as employees, they were not really taking money from the government. The monies that they were earning during the times where their places of work was closed, those monies are their money. They come from their unemployment insurance funds. So there was a call for the UIF to give businesses monies belonging to employees so that these businesses can pay the employees with monies that were previously deducted from these employees. So it's your money, which is like an insurance fund that you earn when you are unemployed. It wasn't really, that wasn't really part of that budget. It's your own money. You can request it at any time where you are unemployed. So most people benefited from that, but it was their money anyway.
It's not part of the law.
No, it's not. It's their money. They work for it because UIF, you get deducted from your salaries.
Okay, Marvin, maybe there's a misunderstanding there. What's the difference between UIF and what we are supposed to be given by the government? Wasn't it that money that we were supposed to be given to UIF? Then UIF used it as to give us back. Since that
remember, UIF takes money from individuals every month and puts it aside for rainy days when you are unemployed. It's like unemployment insurance fund. That money goes into your fund. It's your money. Doesn't belong to the government. You worked for that money. It's yours. And then with now the support funds from the government, that's a whole different thing. Those were funds that were supposed to support individuals which were in no position to access UIF or anything at that time. So those were like directly from the government. They were grants given to businesses and individuals who cannot afford anymore. Like it was given to artists. They were complaining about, I think it was 1,200, and they were complaining about it while the rest of the public was getting 350 rands. So it's those type of amounts. And then UIF belongs to you. It's your money. It's like Provident Fund. It belongs to you. It's your money.
Okay. So if we used our money, the government, if you're watching this, where is the money? I just hope they're coming to watch this. Anyway, so there's another 20 billion that was put aside to fund health response to COVID. I had Marvin talking about quarantine sites, but besides that, what else was happening?
Not anything that I know of.
I know of PP, what do you call it? PPE disappearing and the tenders.
Hey,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know about it.
Well, we live in a country that's driven by greed. Like money came in. We know that money came in, but we don't really have anything to show for. Yes, money came in and I bought this lip gloss. Sure, money came in and I bought this phone. It's just sure money came in and you're that's just it. Like I can say there's just not really anything to show for any of that money except for the 350. NSFAS was crippled with money. Everything is crippled. It's crippled. It's crippling. It's correct. But then we have people sitting up there in their mansions. Have people who are enjoying life, just vibes, because they got their money. This money was supposed to go to Marvin. This one is for happiness, and they just chose to give happiness her share. Happiness, no, but then the money was released and I got it. But if you really look into it, it was just happiness who got the money. Tenders for PPEs were out, sure. People bid it and then they got it. Mask ke 3 randa, but they were selling the mask for 10,000. It was chaos. It is still chaos. It is still chaos either way. So besides the quarantine, whatever's, there's really nothing that's cute. There's nothing. Maybe they would pay people to, but again, fumigate, sanitize when a person with COVID got into the place. And they were charging like 20 hours just to come and fumigate one room. Guys, get depressed.
okay, Takato, but I'm actually thinking about it right now as you're talking about the body sanitizers, or they were put everywhere. So I want to know the health professionals, Baba Barakamudi public hospitals, Baba Talagma.
The government.
Isn't it the government? And they're one of the essential workers.
Yeah, the government.
Oh, wait,
And
let me rephrase that statement. It's us who pay them.
Taxpayers.
Taxpayers.
Yeah, but let me just applaud them for more platforming. Yeah, they really worked hard. They saved us, basically. So big up, thank you guys.
But then
I think Child Care Week contributed because they were working overtime. Those people were not resting.
They're still waiting for it. Like the way Kikwatanga is that they were promised, like they were supposed to get a little something, you know. They're supposed to get a little something, or thank you for your hard work for putting your life on the line. My sons, they're still waiting for that money from last year.
No.
For the heads for them.
No, guys.
Maybe
I might be wrong. I might be wrong, guys. I might be wrong, but I please educate me. Why were they supposed to be given extra money? Isn't it their job? It's like telling a soldier that if you go to war, you'll get extra money. What is their job?
Isn't it their job to take overtime? They were working overtime. And also the health were put in at risk. It's risky, but COVID was just tremendous. It was just a lot.
You can't refuse to treat someone because they have COVID. You have to treat them. So I can say it, like they had to be something for them. There had to be something for healthcare workers. There had to be something for cases, like people who are really underappreciated are the cases, because because I have a sore throat. I have symptoms for COVID. but then I'm masking it off as flu. Yeah, shop right. I take my milk, I touch this, I touch it, I go to the cashier, and then I just leave. And nobody's like, wow, thank you, cashiers, for really holding us up. Cashiers should have also gotten something. I don't know, did they get something, or it was just about, yes, you are heroes, we're clapping hands for you. Was it just that?
But then how do we distinguish a hero? Like, I get lost when you talk about nurses and doctors. Let's say medical people, all those things that they do, those things. Isn't it that their job? Isn't it what they went to school for? The risk that they told themselves. The risk that they told themselves.
For COVID, guys, like, if we're being real with each other, if we're being honest with each other, yes, we did go to school to be healthcare professionals, but we didn't go to school to deal with a pandemic. Like, even if you're getting a story, when they tell you about a pandemic, about that thing, you go, wow, you must say, hey, but what rough. Do you understand? But then it's another thing when you get into it and have to deal with it. COVID was scary. Like, the people in my department, when they come from COVID, they want to touch all of us for, hey, let's all die together, because it's just that scary. But tomorrow they'll come back and sanitize from their heads down to this. It's just that scary. As much as they went to school to study for it, they didn't study for it. Like, trust me, last thing they didn't come and say, okay, guys, today's chapter will be what happens if there is a pandemic. There is no that chapter. Even flu, we treat us so. Stroke, we treat us so. This, you treat it like this. So, like, they're really heroes. They may not wear Superman or Spider-Man, but they are heroes. They should be getting something for it. They're putting their lives on the line. And it also happiness comes in with COVID, and then when you're gonna be like, no, I'm not treating happiness. You just had to treat happiness even if you didn't want to, because that's your job. Do you understand? As much as it's our job, we also people before our jobs. Do you understand? If I was not alive, I wouldn't have been a doctor, I wouldn't have been a scientist. So they're clapping hands for me for the thank you for putting your life on the line for this title. Do you understand?
Okay. Kutato, maybe I might be wrong. I might be wrong. As a gardener, let's say I'm a gardener. My job is to cut grass. I don't think the length of the grass should determine my job. Just because it's new or it's a new grass should not determine my job. Just because the grass is too much, I should not be appreciated for it. That's my job. That's when I said I want to do this. That's one thing that I wanted to do. As a medical facilitator, or as a health facilitator, you are the first. You should be the first person to respond. You should be the first person to say, okay, yeah, but this is what I'm here for. Then why are we
applauded for that? We could have just decided for, you know what, now I'm resigning today. They had that option. For, you know what, guys, now I'm resigning from my oath. I'm no longer a practitioner. I'm gonna be at home. You guys deal with this. They had that option, but they chose to put their lives on the line. There comes the humility of this. Like, wow, thank you. Just like if I could say, when you're in a tight spot and then somebody jumped in to help you, you would thank them, like, thank you for helping me. That person was not forced to help you. They did it out of the goodness of their heart. So as a person, as Ubuntu, you should thank them. Do you understand?
No, Takato, I think Utkolela Wawe, using your example, yeah, or if you're hired to cut grass, this was beyond grass, hey? You were required to move a whole tree. So if I definitely have to reward them. Nobody goes to school to have these superpowers. But those people are superheroes and they need to be applauded for it. What they did was beyond impeccable. Like, this is what we expected from them. This is what they taught was going, but they went to this level. Do you understand? They crossed that line. They left their families. They were at hospitals 24/7. Ask any doctor or healthcare professional how was their life during 2020. They never got the chance to be with their families. And come on, literally take us that time. Some of us did have that chance our our families they can't even attend the funeral because they need to be at the hospital. So it's not just an ordinary job. They were not doing something ordinary. They went beyond ordinary. Okay, we are moving from that one, guys. Now, there was 20 billion that was made available to municipalities to provide food parcels and shelters. But what in fact, if Lorana Kamoki, Kirato Witisha, guys, I've never seen the food parcel. It'd be like Sabola Lajeng Festival, Skukuno, Azanke Kawari, Kai, maybe I might not know. Maybe if you're there watching this, please comment. If you do have a story, Lilena, the co-host, our guest, if you know a story, I'm told them personally are revealing that those food parcel. Please, let's cover one. We want to know about areas because this money was distributed between all municipalities. So Makuru Tamara got money. Makuru Tamara, this is me, your child. Where's the food?
My darling. I don't know how truthful this is, but there was a post trending. Where was this? Something. The municipality went there with their food. They took pictures. They packed and left with it.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Packed and left.
That's what I was doing.
And then there was, I remember there was I just don't know the word names, but there were food parcels that had to be delivered or something. So we listened to the news, we listened to the radio. Some are applying for food parcels and whatnot. You get there, what tellers are giving them to their friends. Like, hi friend, here's a picture. Hi friend, oh, you getting beans? Here are beans, my darling. Hi friend, would you come today getting beans? I'm your girl. That's what was happening. There's not a single, they're like, if there are people gay, well, there were people who were getting food parcels. I do remember actually, like they went there, they applied, and then when they got their food parcels. But Leona, the criteria was hectic, bruh. They told people if there were no parents in the house, you can come get your food parcels. People by default, there were no parents in the house. They went there, they were told, no, we know when you're working, we know when your little brother works for Kawash, so no, you're not getting it. It was just a mess. People took food parcels for themselves. Good, like guys. As a country, like all of us, at the same time, like may the spirit of greediness, like the spirit of wanting more than I should be having, because how do you as a person OTA food parcel for someone who is starving when I already like just guys, like honestly, get like depression.
And there are certain politicians. We see you, we know you. You've gained weight, but we've never seen you go grocery store. We are creating a hashtag, bring back our food. We want our food. Cecil, I see your hand. Cecil?
Yeah. I wanted to weigh in a bit. I'm sorry, I was having network problems or not. I wanted to weigh in a bit. I know of foundations which have been distributing food.
Hello, Cecil, can you hear me? We couldn't see you for a while. Oh. Yes, you can go on.
Am I good?
Yeah.
Are we good? Yeah.
100%.
So I was saying, I know of foundations. One of them being, Dress the Dream Foundation. It was collaborating with what's this? FOCC. Some things around Limpopo. I don't know if you guys must know them. Yeah, so they were distributing food and clothes and all that, and then they got money from those fundings. So I guess some of these things are just people's greed, but on the other end, they work well and the money was used well. I don't think that it's everywhere. Yes?
This is what I was saying. For what they do is they take the bread, but then the crumble, and then we get the crumbles, then our grill something. Honestly, the money that is here, it's a lot. It's a lot for what was put out there. For the fact that I do not know anybody personally that got food parcels yet, I know a lot of people that actually needed them. Says a lot. And
Okay,
it's the fact that money was
happiness.
made available. Sorry, money was made available to all municipalities. They didn't just go to municipalities in the villages or municipalities go the squatter camps. No, they gave everyone. So I should know someone. Come on. Yeah, Wawa, I see you were trying to speak, but Marvin has been raising his hand. Can you please go on, Marvin?
Well, with food parcels, it's a different story, man. The budget that was given out, it wasn't the only money that's there for things like food parcels. Every year we have that budget in our annual budget. We have it already. That was over and above what we have. And then, being the country that we are, or the kind of leaders we have, they did whatever they did with the food, and it says a lot about us actually. If the youth starts to vote and take charge, things can change in this country. There's a lot that can change in this country because honestly, we don't owe those old people anything. We cannot be treated like we owe them something. We don't owe the ANC anything. We went there when they fought for whatever they fought for. We went there, so why shouldn't we suffer? We don't owe them anything. We don't owe them our loyalty. We don't owe them anything. So it's about high time that they, and I think they realize that. That's why they did away with their youth league, because they realize that these young people know that they don't owe them anything and they don't even owe them their loyalty. It's about time we take charge.
Yeah, that's true, Marvin. You know what you're saying? We're talking about it last week, or these old guys, you know, they're doing all of these things. They're creating a mess, and this mess, it's gonna affect us. We are gonna have to deal with it. We are gonna have to fix it. So it's high time, instead of trying to blame them and trying to, find
Let's
ways
remove them.
is paying the government. Let's make our own government,
Exactly.
let's make our own. I did suggest that we need a political party, because now
Exactly.
if you take all these big political parties, they're over 50, over 60. So what are we doing right now? We can't keep on saying, but ANC this, but EFF that. No. Guys, if you're young and you're creating a political party, know that you have a guaranteed vote from me. I'm Happiness Ranter. You can catch me anywhere. Facebook, Twitter, yes. So yes, back to that one, yeah. We're still Wawa, you wanted to talk.
No, what I wanted to say, Marvin already put so many foot on it. Like, hey, let me go back home. So we are dying for people's sins that we don't even know. Can we start making our own generation? Like if you have a kid, can you make something new for your own kid? The rate of unemployment is not going down anytime soon. There is nothing the government is doing for us, nothing at all. And then if we don't stand up and say, hey, it's our time, let's make a better future for us. If you look at the cabinet, who would you say they're creating a future for? Look at them, all of them, it's almost dying.
They are about
we need
to
to find new voices. We need to find new movements. We need to find things that they will deal with us. Like the COVID funds, they showed us flames. We have had monies that we've seen, not even a single calculator can calculate the money that we had. But then now we know it's zero. We don't have anything. What are we getting out of it? By the 350. Guys, let's open our eyes. What does the 350? What will the 350 do for your life?
Yes,
There's
I was
nothing
still
that you
gonna
can-
come. I was gonna come to that one. Out of the 500 billion, they budgeted 50 billion for social grants. One about the grant last year, yes. Okay, the grant for bana, batsofe, and they brought in an additional 350 for unemployed people. What are your views about that whole thing? Yeah, the grant, their social grant.
Joe, for me, social grant is child's play. It's to fool a mind that doesn't know what they want in life. Grant has been there even way before we were born. Like I know my grandmother is getting grant. I know a certain people that have certain kids that have a lot of kids that are getting grants. And those things started way before COVID. Like for us, they're playing with our mind. And now then they're increasing the grants. They're telling us that they're increasing the grants. If I were to use my mind now, where are they getting that money? Because they already declined that the loan is finished. They no longer have money. So where is the money coming from?
Nah, libilo we are whole wawe. Nah, the focus right now, kita 350. Is it sustainable? Like I said last week, grind. I appreciate it so much. But the way the government is going about it, is it sustainable? And 350, what does 350 do? Because 350 then I come back with nothing. It doesn't do anything. It's gonna pay for my taxi fare. Then that's all. Ya di afatawa butumpana ke 300 bona self. So
I feel like we were played, guys, because even for which because old age grants have been there before COVID, so there was already money for the grants in 2020. COVID discover one, there was already money, right, Mr. Marvin? Am I lying?
Well, there were grants, and there's a lot of money, and there was a lot of money, and there's a lot that's going on in that with money in this country. That like we have money. We have money.
So maybe we were not supposed to get 350, guys. Maybe we were supposed to get 3.5, but they played it. It's just gonna go to the child grants, to the old age grants, the disability grants. Like they just matched it as to social relief. Like 3.5. I understand. Like let's just get there on 3.5, because already for the other grants, the money was already there. Whether there was COVID or there wasn't COVID, the money was already there, right? So what are new money for grants? By fact, again, they just it didn't include anything. First of all, my 100 rand that day, my 100 rand for each child. It was nothing. It was nothing.
It was a lot. It was actually 500 per child, and for all older people, it was up to 600.
So, but still, we could. They could have maybe the 10 rand that just add to the 350 or something. Like I think the unemployment grant was supposed to be more than 350, but because they want to go to Dubai and do this and that, they took our money, so they gave us the 350s. If we really looked into it, we'd find out no, this was not the intended amount, but people took for themselves, so let's just give them 350. They'll just jabula or there's money coming in, and then they'll forget who we actually paying them.
But then, guys, I think we only have one common problem. Whether it's COVID or not, greed.
Exactly.
Greedy. Like, what's wrong with us? Like, it's greedy. Like, why don't you want to eat with other kids? Why don't you want to share?
Well, hey, sharing is difficult when it comes to money. Like, I feel like.
But then, how will you? How will you enjoy when I boy will you want?
I think that's how people are designed. They want to eat alone. That's how people are. They are greedy. If you go to every country, there is corruption. There's no country in the world without corruption. Each and every country is corrupt.
But I do understand when you say each and every country is corrupt. But then
our country,
is special.
It's because
Like
we know about it.
wow.
Like,
Not like 666, guys. Repeat the Helen, 666, Satanism, agents of Satan, Illuminati, Wangushisha, Kima Illuminati, like repeat the Helen. When we die, we're going to heaven, guys, because already the Helen, we're still at the last call, though. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's hectic.
No.
It's hectic. Let's go back to the budget, guys. I see our anchor is not here. I'm thinking he's having a challenge connecting. So I'm just gonna ask one of the co-hosts to just go to Facebook and YouTube and check our comments there. Cecil, if you can, please do that for us. Go to Facebook, check the comments, questions, and bring them back here. So there was 80 billion rands that was also given to South African Reserve Bank to cut out the repo rate by 200 basis. So this one sounds a bit complex. Marvin, can you please explain to us what is repo rate?
Well, it's repo rate is like the basis of interest rates in the market. That's the rate at which the Reserve Bank lends out money to commercial banks. So
Okay.
yeah, it's that interest there. So it's the basis of all interest rates in this market, because most or all interest rates at commercial level are based on that repo rate.
I think this was like a blessing in disguise for us, because last year was the best time to buy a car. It was the best time to buy a house because the repo rate was very low. I think it was the lowest after how many years, Marvin?
In a decade, over a decade.
Yo, so we're cruising nice. Y'all wanna never drive a Gulu, guys. Never patala 10 rand fail. That was last year.
No,
The repo rate
guys,
kept
it
on
wasn't the
going
best
down.
time.
It kept on
the
going
best
down.
time.
guys, happiness. I need to understand something. Marvin, can you please educate me on this?
No, I can't go next year. Hey guys, I don't know. I feel bad for you because last year I was cruising. I think that one COVID did so well for us. It's one thing I'm very happy about. Or you know, my installments were very low last year, all thanks to the government. So the government is not really bad, you know. They cut the repo rate. I think it went down 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it was 2 times, I remember. But they were trying to encourage people to spend. They were making borrowing money cheaper so that we go borrow money so that we can spend it. And then that means our GDP would grow if there's spending in the economy.
Okay, so where is the danger in that? Because I can imagine on the impulsive me buying a car because the repo rate is low. So now I'm gonna be paying 10 rents for my car. What happens? What happens when it goes up?
When it goes up, your interest rate goes up as well accordingly, and then your installment subsequently changes if your loan term stays the same. But if the loan term as can be variable as well, that means your loan term can be longer with the same amount of installment. But it's a conversation you can have with your banker to make arrangements to say, I can afford only 10 rands. And since things are bad now, I'm supposed to be paying 15 rands if I want to finish this in 5 years. Let me continue paying 10 rands for 6 years. And then they make those kind of arrangements and you pay for longer, but you're still paying the same amount.
Okay, so
But
is
then-
repo Is
Marvin.
repo an acronym or it's a short for something? Is it repossession? Is it, what does repo mean? Like a word on its own? What does it mean? Do you have any idea?
No, it was derived from the creation of banks. Remember how banks were created with actual gold? It was a rate where you could return gold to the bank. So you'd actually get a note to the bank, and the note wouldn't be as 10 rands. It will be an actual note saying that you're entitled to 10 kgs of gold in the bank. And then they started creating more money with loans. Remember, loans were not based on actual gold that someone deposited in the bank. Loans were like, you come to the bank, I give you gold. You basically promised me that when you pay me back, it's gonna come with the repo on top. With the repo rate. So you're going to bring more gold to the bank. In that sense, that was creating more gold. So you take 1 kg, you bring back 1.1 kg. That means I have successfully created 0.1 kgs out of you, which didn't exist before.
Okay. Well, wait.
I even forgot what I wanted to say, but like I forgot. I got interested in what Marvin was saying. But then Marvin, when you talk about repo, isn't it the same thing as profit? As loaning someone money and then you need a certain percentage out of it?
Yes.
And
What banks borrow out and lend out money with as is based on prime rate for the public. So they would say your interest rate is prime plus 2%, and you go to the prime rate. The prime rate is sitting at around 7%, and then plus 1%, meaning that they will actually charge you 8%, but they borrowed the money at 3.5% of rate.
Okay, I do get it.
Profit there.
Okay, I do get the statement what you say. But you say something about gold, how banks were created. So then how were they making an extra gold? Because I believe gold is solid.
Because you'd come to me as a bank to say, and you want gold, maybe you want to pay some, or you want to buy something, a car or something. You come to me, you want a kg of gold. I give you that kg, and I tell you that when you return this kg of gold, you need to put 100 grams on top. So that means when you bring back that kg of gold that you owe me, you need to bring an extra 100 grams on top of it. Now, you need to go and find that 100 grams that you need to put on my kg, so that it's 1.1 kgs. And I've created that because immediately when you take my gold, I have 1.1 kg in you.
Okay, thank you very much, brother.
All right. I know, guys, we are learning. We are learning. By the time this show ends, I'll be officially an accountant. The amount of knowledge that I'm absorbing right now, it's just too much. It's too much. Okay, so back to the budget. So there was 100 million that was also put aside to assist with loan restructuring. This is besides that one, the repo rate. How did they help us with the, okay, Mara, they mentioned the fact that they're going to help small businesses, medium businesses, and micro businesses. But dispenser shop, actually dispenser shops nearly like the main target. But when we look around, dispenser shop give my friend, and who my friend are tags. So who did they help?
Yeah, I believe that's where the money was stolen. That's where certain sponsorships were created. Because then I believe created, yeah. I believe for a government money to come out of their pocket, you must have a document. And honestly speaking, if you're from Kasi, there is no sponsorship that I know that has a document. So basically, all the sponsorship that came to be now.
And I don't understand how the whole system was working. Like when you say, I can take in a list puzzle shop, but then do I take a picture? Because it's an informal business. I don't have to register it. That's why it's informal. So what were the requirements? Do any of you know what was required for me to go claim the money? How was I even applying for it?
Well,
Because I
there
feel
was
like now
discretion.
they're just saying a lot of things, or okay, we have put 100 million. I almost used somebody's voice. Hey, I'll get arrested. We put 100 million. We put 100 million aside for puzzle shops. But did they explain or regional puzzle shop? How do I apply for it? And how do I prove original puzzle shop? I just go there and be like, hi, I do have a puzzle shop called My Melody Lucas. Can I get money for 2 sponsor shops? How is it working? Or how do you think let's just try to imagine it if we don't really know what's happening.
For me, hey, my friend, do you have a sponsor shop? That's me, ne? That's me. My friend, do you have sponsor shop? Requirement is the picture. Don't send the picture for WhatsApp. You must apply. Yeah. And then there's another one where you'll be like, hey, my friend, I can make a document. Give me 15 rand. You see, I believe that's how our money was got. I believe it's greedy, like we said initially. It's greedy. We formulate things that are not even there instead of helping people that needed the money. But with the sponsorship funds, I don't believe there's a way that we could say it was used properly. There was bribe all over. There was corruption all over. Because if sponsorship, that's what I believe.
100%. Because, like I said, go check out the sponsor shop. How many sponsor shops are still owned by Black people? Go to any neighborhood. Check out sponsor shops. My friend, I love you so much. You give me discounts, but hey. I'm not attacking anyone here, but I'm just saying, who did they really help here?
Back pockets. They help their back pockets. That's the true definition. That's what I can see. It's back pockets.
It's that easy. I just feel like there was like a lot of discretion that had to be applied with informal businesses. Because there's no audit trail, there's no paper trail. You just have to apply discretion. I would imagine the government thought the officials would apply discretion. And discretion, if it's my discretion, then if I see it fit for your happiness to get the funds now, then that's it. That's my discretion. You can't go against it. You said I must use it.
That's fair. I see Cecil is raising his hand. I'm thinking he's gonna anchor. Yes, you can take the mic and enable your video, Mr. Cecil.
I'm actually just gonna ask questions because I'm like trying to work through my phone. Yeah. So,
okay,
and
no
Prudence says, what is the current repo rate of our country?
Marvin?
I think we're sitting at 3.5%. That was from the first quarter bulletins. 3.5.
Is that good or is that bad?
It's good.
It's good.
It's obviously bad.
Okay, let me tell it. Send me money so that I can go buy a car, guys.
Okay, so it's 3.5%. Confirm, Marvin.
Let me just confirm it.
Okay, and then please quote the repo rate before lockdown as well. While he's still checking, what's the second question or comment, Cecil?
Prudence again is asking, what are the limits of GDP?
What are the limits of GDP? Marvin, I'm sure you've noted that one as well. A special shout out to Prudence. Prudence has been with us since the launch. So, hi girl, we love you so much. Yeah, thank you for engaging. Yes, Cecil, you can go on. Marvin is noting down the questions.
Another question from Prudence. What other indicators besides GDP are there to measure health and well-being?
Say that question again.
What other indicators besides GDP are there to measure health and well-being?
Okay. Okay. I'm sure Marvin has noted that one as well. Do we have anything else?
Yes. She's asking, and according to you, I'm not sure who she's referring to, how can you measure wealth and well-being?
How can you what? Your line is breaking when you're speaking.
How can you measure wealth and well-being since a lot have been affected during this
How can you
situation?
measure wealth and well-being? According to
Yes.
you, Obulalaka, you host, co-host, the guest, and everyone that is there watching us, how can you measure it? You see, right now, I think error motho o wealthy ne. Ke ga kgona ho reka borotho for tea, a kgona ho ja lunch, a kgona ho lalela. They are rich because it's really hectic right now. Wealth has dropped. I sell got Bentley. You know, if you can afford, then you are wealthy in this day and age. That's how I measure it. And yeah. Chance, Prudence e-wallet. Thank you.
Yeah, ke tla nna di-tips tsa gagwe gore ga e kry-ile le nna a kgone go rekela lunch.
Yes, Takhato, you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, it's true, gore you are very much rich if you can afford lunch, this breakfast, lunch, and supper, and even a snack. But if you can afford a snack, he's calling Romele 10 rand.
Stop looting, Takhato. Stop looting.
They go hand in hand. Eh?
Stop looting. You're trying to loot from the audience. This is not KZN, Takhato.
Guys, I need to move. But anyways, if health and wealth go hand in hand, actually. Like if you don't know where your next meal is gonna come from, your mind is crippled. And if your mind is crippled, it's very much easier to imaginary illnesses. So once only sharp, like if you don't have to worry about your lunch, you don't have to worry about your supper, or healthy. I guess like you're not like sure you will get sick, but I say sickness no, it's just about it's gonna pass, you know. Like Kevin, when you feel good, you do good. So if you feel fine, you can go from a Samente and get 100 rand at the end of the day. If you have 100 rand, you're gonna feel good for I have food. Do you understand? They are, I'm gonna say this in my big English, so they are directly proportional, honey. Thank you.
Okay. Before I give Mr. Marvin Maigi, since Takhato tried to loot from our audience here, I'm just gonna bring in Tabaya looting. Yona, how did it affect the economy? How was it affected? Mr. Marvin?
Let me start with the first three questions.
Okay.
Where they were asking about the GDP before, the report rate before. We were sitting on about 6.5%. So borrowing money in South Africa was quite expensive at the time. And then they had to make it cheap, to make money cheaper so that people can access money and facilitate spending so that people can spend in this country in a way to support our dying GDP. And then I had a question about limits to GDP. It's not in detail. It tells an overall story. It doesn't really tell you much about what's happening in that country. Like just looking at our GDP, you might think they're probably having a good time, but we're not. And it doesn't tell the whole story. You look at the GDP of Nigeria, it's higher than our GDP. But when you look at the population of Nigeria, they are it's a much larger population than ours. So that's why there's another index called GDP per capita, which is like GDP per person. It tells a different story, but it's still not detailed enough because it doesn't go into demographics. It doesn't go into where are these people that we're saying are having this much money? How are they actually living? How are they making it? And there are a lot of groups of people in a country, in society. So it doesn't tell much. It doesn't say a lot of things about people. So it's a limited measurement. And then the other question was other measurements of wealth and well-being. I like the one index that I personally like is the Big Mac index. So it looks at the price of Big Mac in different countries. So it's the same Big Mac, but it's been sold at different prices. Basically, they sell Big Mac. McDonald's sells Big Mac in a particular market at a price which people can afford it. So if they think that the standard of living in that country is much lower, then the price of Big Mac will be lower. So the price of Big Mac and countries with a higher cost of living, it's much higher. So if you look at that price of Big Mac, you kind of get an idea of how it is to live in that particular country. Can you afford it? If you if you can afford Big Mac in South Africa, you probably can afford to survive in South Africa. And then you look at that country, if you can afford a Big Mac in there as well for 30 days a month, you can probably survive there as well. And then, yeah, that's just a measure I like. And then talking about looting, not really much, man. The looting was so little. Well, it did affect livelihoods and businesses, but to the overall economy of the country, it had little impact. What killed us mostly was COVID-19, and yeah, that's where we are. But the looting had impact on people's livelihoods. You look at warehouses, you look at shipping companies that weren't able to move goods. The freeway was closed, which is very, very important because it ships the whole of Southern Africa. We are shipping the whole of everything in Southern Africa gets shipped through Durban, most things. Even if you go to Zimbabwe, whatever they're producing there, they're shipping it in Durban. So it was a halt to a major economic hub of the Southern Africa, like southern part of Africa. So it did have an impact, but it got sorted out quick. And I don't think there are any permanent damages to it because it was also covered. It was insured. The strike was insured with the government. So, and the government did make sure that they pay monies to businesses. So most of it was covered through Cercea and other insurers as well. And yeah, it was almost 20 billion and in total the losses, but it's a drop in the ocean compared to our whole economy. And given that it was covered, so we cool with it. We can live with it.
Sure, I'm Marvin. I know we are really learning. I know my best friend is watching this, Basi, and we've been arguing Gatawaya Big Mac. So you see, it has everything to do with GDP. We can't afford to do South Africa anymore, guys. The price, regular meal, Big Mac has went up. So that says a lot about our GDP. So now I'll know when it goes up, it's bad. When it goes down, we get. No, I'm learning a lot. Let me just take this opportunity to share about this whole thing, the country being in a junk status. I hate being Sabawala hot wings every time people talk about that. But now I know I'm gonna have something to say. So what do they mean about that when they're saying South Africa is in a junk status? What is this junk status? Are we in a junk status? What's happening?
Yeah, we are definitely there. What they're looking at as what the rating agencies are saying about our credit rating. So we have a bad credit rating. There's something called credit score for each and every individual. And then what creditors do is they measure your ability to pay them back with that credit score. So our credit score as a country is bad, and it's rated at a junk status. So they basically look at the total debt of the country, South Africa, against our GDP. So our debt is above 50% of our GDP, meaning that we are borrowing more than half of what we're making in a year. That's like you are earning 2,000 Mara, already you are borrowing 1.5. You only have that 500 billion free. So we don't have much disposable income.
Okay.
And then that's what led to it.
All right. Also, let me also use this opportunity to Marvin or advice as Baswa we are starting to work. We want to buy cars, we want to buy houses, and then every time requata via credit score. So please explain to us what is a credit score and what affects the credit score. And right now in this country, what is the best credit score?
Well, an ideal credit score would be around 850, but a good one is also sitting around 700. And then a bad one would be below 500. Then you know that, yeah, you're in trouble, definitely, if your score is below 500. But with credit scores, man, there's like ways and tools of keeping it good and ways of manipulating it to look good as well. And you can get a simple credit card for 200 rands, which you spend all the 200 rands and you pay it back quick. So meaning that if I spend the 200 today, tomorrow I'm paying it back. I never get late on my payments. I'm perceived as someone who can handle credit and as someone who pays back. And then as long as that amount is below what I can afford, it gives me a good status to say that I do take debt. Number one, I do take debt, and I pay back my debt. And then other people think that debt is totally bad, which is not true. Debt is good for you as well. You need to take debt at some point in your life, because if you don't, then there's no score for you. If you don't take debt, your score is bad because they don't know if you can handle debt. So take small amounts of debt that you really need and you can handle. And then it goes back to having good debts and bad debts. With someone who's starting out, just getting started with employment, might want to buy a car, might want to get a nice apartment. And you should do that, but never go beyond what you can afford. Never go spend beyond what you are earning. You should be able to still have disposable income in you, which is money that you can use towards your savings, towards starting out something else. But you should take that credit, buy the car that you want, but let it be a car that you can really afford. And I don't think that the ideology of people saying that we shouldn't take debt is bad. You go to any company, you look at their balance sheet, they always have liabilities, they always have loans, but they take those loans to make more money. They borrow money to make more money out of it. So I think that's how we should see that. We should see it as an opportunity to make more money out of it. And I think that way then we'll always have good debt. If it's a debt that you can make more money out of it, then go for it and take it, make that more money out of it, pay it back, and then now you actually have something to work for. If you need to take more, go take more, make more, pay it back, you're still left with something. So I think that's how life should be. And we should start buying properties as well, and building our own properties in markets which are marketable, markets with places with property values. And I think it's very important for us to start being involved in that sector, because you look at us, most of us, we have a net value of with sitting in the negatives because we don't have property. And the minute you have property, you have security. You can use property to secure loans, to secure funds, and that actually works in your favor. If you have a house that you fully own and you want to take additional loans, if I have a house worth 1.5 million and I want to take a loan of 500,000, I can put the house as security towards that loan. I'll easily get that loan. It will be easy. No bank will say no to that. They'll give you that money. If you don't pay it back, they take the house. And they know you don't want to give them the house, so you're going to pay them. So if we find ourselves in such positions, we are going to be well-positioned people and a well-positioned group, society. You look at what happened with the generation before us. They weren't able to do that. They weren't able to buy houses in certain markets. They were not even allowed to live or be in those places. And those places generated wealth for those people who were allowed to be in such areas. And had they been there as well, I think it would have been much easier for them to borrow money, start their businesses, and do whatever they wanted to do and to follow their dreams. But they couldn't because of such restrictions. So it's far more difficult to get money as a Black person without actually having something to your name. The minute you have something to your name, it's easy to borrow your money, because if you don't pay, you want to take something.
Okay, thank you so much, Marvin. Yes, we are not just building a better Africa for ourselves, but we are also trying to develop ourselves as the youth. This is Bayways. We are here to build it, to build whatever, build Africa, build ourselves. So yeah, back to you, Cecil. Do we still have more questions or more comments? Cecil?
Nope, we do
All
not
right.
have any comments or questions.
All right. It's 20 minutes to closing. So I'm gonna bring in something that is very touchy. So last year, every year when the year starts, a national budget speech. So the national budget speech, the government, let me just say the government. The government reserved 3.53 billion to bail out SAA. That was the money that was available to bail out SAA. But Nebatloka, 10.5 billion. Okay. So, Badirang in that case. Well, I'm gonna say the cabinet, our former Minister of Finance, Mr. Tito Mboweni, you need to scrap money from other sectors. That 10.5 billion to SAA. Plus, SAA is the golden child of this country. We've been bailing it out. I think they bail out for the third time, if not the second time. So yeah, Mr. Tito Bowen was totally against it, tried voicing out his opposition towards this matter, but he was ordered. I want you guys to hear me. I have an article. If anybody is interested, I'll send you the article. He was ordered. According to the article, I think it's on WordPress. Masodi, if you're watching, please just comment the name of the article or where to find it. Yes, but he was ordered for us credit those amounts. And guess what? Uh, eventually, he did what he was ordered to do. So, uto collect first thing, this now we are talking 2020. We are now on our child that we have in the house. He went to take 1196 billion from the police sector. Ajea 1133 billion from higher education and training. You know what? When I read this one, I was very angry. Cabinet, what are you doing to us? What are you doing to us? So you're taking our money, the one that we're supposed to be going to school and learning. They took 1133 billion to go bail out SAA. But 1196 billion from the police. Also, last year, the crime rate also went up, but they took the same monies that was supposed to protect us as a country, but out they took an additional 694 billion from the health sector. They took 694 billion from the health sector to go bail out SAA. What's so special about SAA? Where is SAA right now? What do you guys think about this money that was scrapped out from different sectors, especially higher learning and training? Actually, all of them. They took money from the health sector, from the police, and from us. What are your views about it? Wow, take it in.
Yo, money, I'm a BB. What can I say? When it comes to money, you should never trust anyone. But let's use our logic on something. Once someone ordered someone to scratch something, it won't solve the problem, right? I think we all know that. So at the end of the day, we'll always have the same problem. With what you said about SAE, I don't know a lot about SAE. I don't know what's going on with SAE. But then, to me, it comes to a point where, who does SAE belong to? Are we just using the title of our country to someone's benefit? Because if it's just the title of the country, you are killing not just the country, you are killing the future of the country. As we stand, we don't have any airline that represent us as South Africans. We know about Zimbabwe, we know about Mauritius, we know about a lot of airways. But then it's not going to work out. And then when it comes to the fact that the money was scrapped, they took money from other uses and then they use it to things that they didn't even use it for. I don't know what to say. Me and money.
What I don't understand, Kogore, I mean, they closed the borders, Muscat 2020.
Yeah.
So SAA was as good as useless. Then so that we can get qualified and start working. So they'd rather give us 350 or they took that. They took child from Mapodisa. Mapodisa are protecting. Employment, because obviously they can't take in more people if there's no money, And then if you check the stats, crime also shot up Kamo 2020. The third one, care health. What? I mean, we're going through a pandemic. Why would you take money from health sector? We offer I don't want to say aviation, SAA, whereas it's not gonna work.
What's so wrong up with SAA that it needs to always be bailed out? Like what's wrong with it?
Give us ball. Hey,
It's
okay,
not
guys.
like
Like,
Because we've been bailing out SAA quite a lot of times. So what our SAA is just there for vibes. So why don't we take it out and bring something that's there for nice vibes and not just for vibes?
because then someone won't be able to eat. SA it's someone's side job or what. So if things don't go out, but I bail out and then I'll benefit out of it.
But then,
yeah.
why did they take money from the most critical sectors? Like from arts and culture or something.
But
Like money for arts and culture, which they're not using. They're not using it for they could have just taken it from arts and culture. They could have taken it from, let's say, the sectors that are just in the background. You can when a child has to go to school.
But that's the mentality that we have. That our leaders have. That's the mentality that our leaders have. Because then if you take chelete or reka dijo and or reka beer, at the end of the day you will be hungry. What are you going to eat?
Exactly.
So
well, SA is very important. It's very, very important.
How important, Marvin? Come in.
Okay, now SAA is not really our problem anymore because it was sold to Takato.
Okay, wait, Marvin, can you hear me?
Yes.
You're not audible. Can you just
Can you
try?
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
So yeah, I was saying that SAA was very important for us as a country to try and revive it, but then it proved not to be profitable because of the tender system that was going on in the company. And then they decided to sell it eventually. They sold it to Takato for 3.5 billion over 3 years, payable over 3 years. So the country owns 49% of SAA, and then Takato owns 51%. So they actually have controlling stake. That means majority of SAA is in private hands now. We don't need to bail it out anymore. But then bailing it out was helpful to some extent because last year was very critical because SAA was going through business rescue proceedings, meaning that they were trying to save it. SAA was going to be insolvent in 6 months, and then they had to take it through business rescue proceedings so that they can try to save it. And that's what they did. They went on what business rescue proceedings, and then they decided that it was decided that a private partner would mean meaningful to SAA as it is, meaning that the tender system, it doesn't play out as much anymore because it's now in private hands. We just own 49% of it, which is much higher than what other nationalities own. You look at other countries, they don't own their airlines as well. They're in private hands as well. British Airways is in private hands. It's doing well, and it's flying the flag of their country. And SAA can basically do the same in private hands. I don't see anything wrong with it. It's still our airline. It's still flying our flag. We still have a stake in it. And it's basically at a better place right now. But we had to really bail it out at some point to make sure that it survives. It's a favorite child, man.
Okay. Before we wrap it up, does any of you have any questions for Mr. Marvin? Yes, no? All right. Regarding the credit score, guys, I would have loved to reveal more about it, but it was not today's topic because I just see a message coming in. what's up with the credit score thingy. So to read more about it, what's that website? Creditscore.com.
Clearscore.com.
Clearscore.com. Yes, there's more information about it, how to build it. Yes, so you can read more about it there. And then now we are about to wrap it up. I'm gonna give my co-hosts 2 minutes each to give the closing statement on the impact of COVID on the South African economy. I'll give it to you, Takhazo. You can start.
Now, guys, I would like us to steer away from greediness, guys. Like, the pie is big enough for all of us. Like, you don't have to take 2 pieces. The pie is really big enough for all of us. So let us be a generation.
Wait, Takhazo, wait. I'm so sorry. Which pie?
The money pie.
No, the money pie that we borrowed. You know, we don't even have the pie. We borrowed it next door. I don't understand. It's not big enough. Just leave the pie and let's come eat bread. There's no pie. Hello, politicians, corporate, chief. There's no pie here. Leave that pie alone and let's come eat bread.
Listen, my darling, the pie that our generation is baking is enough for all of us.
Okay, no, that is
it's gone, boys.
But I love Tito Mboweni. Don't talk about Tito Mboweni like that. Tito Mboweni is actually a hero. He tried to read the amendments. He tried.
I said Tito Mboweni because he's the one who's always in the kitchen, my darling. He's baking. Tito Mboweni in the kitchen, you know. But yeah, the pie that we are baking is enough for all of us. The economy that we are going to create, that we the youth is going to create, is big enough for all of us. So let's not be greedy, man. If Chalete Marvin, let's give Marvin 10 rand and give away 10 rand. Don't take the 10 rand 10 cents for yourself, because like that's the if we were not greedy, our economy would have been so much better, guys. Like so much better.
That's true. We've been a developing country for many years. Since Kitana primary, I remember social was it social
sciences?
No, it was not even that. It was life skills at that time because I was in grade 4. Never we should list down developed countries, developing countries, and non-developed countries. And South Africa has always been a developing country. Till this day, Aye. Cecil, we can give your closing statement. Cecil, are you here? Cecil is having network glitches. Huawei, you can take the platform.
Hi guys, thank you for watching. Hey, but let's talk about something. Like let's say Wanyana. Guys, do you think looting was wrong? Or we did it to the wrong people? Don't you think if we had looked at those rats that are chowing, that are being greedy, we would have benefited out of it? If I call you a rat and you feel like a rat, you are a rat. But then, that's the other thing that I want to know. And then the other thing that I wanted to ask you guys is, what then should we do about greedy? I know we're talented with greedy, guys. Can we please put our talent elsewhere? If you want to be greedy, can you please be greedy with developing the country? Don't be greedy with money. Like, be greedy where someone will benefit out of it, not just you. Don't say you have employees, or else you know very well that you are there chowing their money.
That's true, you know. Yes. So both News Radio identify issues pertinent to Africans in pursuit of finding solutions. So I like what Mr. Wawe did right there. We are complaining about greediness, but so how can we control it? How can we stop it? So please put it down in the comment section. How do you think we can stop this whole corruption thing or mitigate it? At least if it cannot be stopped, how can we mitigate it? And regarding the looting thing, I think, yes, we were very hungry. We were very hungry, but how we went about it was very wrong because ultimately it was going to affect the GDP. In as much as right now it did not affect it because the government had an insurance for it. How? When did it happen? Is it because
Where
this
did
was
they get the
politically
money?
influenced or what? But that's a topic for another day. We are running out of time. We'll talk more about it some other time, But if you're thinking that the looting mentality is the right way to go about it, cut. Because you remember how we suffered from getting breads, a single bread. We're fighting the what we can pay, Bread with Lucy's day, So it was not a right way to go about it. I think I don't know at this point, or but it's definitely not a way to go about it. Mr. Marvin, I'm gonna give you this platform to just give your closing statement.
Well, I just feel like with the looting thing, it had to happen at some point, man. It was bottling up. People are really angry. People are frustrated about the whole thing. Starting from last year with the COVID thing, we are in stressful times, and whenever a small thing that happens and it happens to trigger those emotions again, people were frustrated, were hungry, they didn't know how to feel, and they just wanted to express that we are really pissed at you and we can do whatever.
Just ask mommy, I'm working now. Don't tell mom. Don't tell mommy.
Yes, sorry, Mr. Marvin.
So yeah, I was just saying that people are really pissed at the leadership, and they just wanted to show them that they can do whatever and nobody's gonna do anything about it. And that's one of those things when you feel like these people are fucking up and they're all gonna die and we're gonna be left here. So it was bound to happen at some point.
Okay, anything about the economy?
Well, we're looking good now. South African Reserve Bank is projecting a growth of 4.6%. We had a positive growth in the first quarter, which made the outlook it made our country look good. We're on par with most countries in the world, and we're growing. So, but our growth is not really growth because we're coming out of a recession, but we are growing right now, and our economy is bound to catch momentum since restrictions are going down and there's more vaccinations, and we are bound to be fine. I think from the festive season where we are going to see more spending going on, and it might be spending which can be compared to what happened in 2019. So I think we want to see more spending. We want to see the economy opening up. We want to see the economy growing. We want to see job opportunities. We are going to go on a positive ride. And let's just say that we have huge debts to pay off as a country, but slowly but surely we're getting there. I think we are a good nation so far.
No, I'm glad that there's actually light at the end of the tunnel because this conversation was heated up. I actually thought worse was coming, but it's very consoling hearing or better things are coming, Tabaya looting, it was just a reaction. It's like when you're poked a million times, you're bound to react at some point. So that was just it. So yes, guys, that's it for today. We talked about a lot of things, but mainly the economical impact due to COVID. So we did discuss, we analyzed that 500 billion. There's still question marks, but it's fine. We are going to investigate. Let me warn whoever who is responsible for the looting, the youth is coming for you. We are creating our own department, our own CSI, the intelligence system, and we're going to find out what happened to that 500 billion, and you're going to pay because we're not going to pay for it. Yes, we discussed the 500 billion. We touched on the looting thing, and SAA bailing. We talked about a lot of things. We talked about credit score. Yes, Marvin was putting out a lot of things on us. We talked about GDP. Yes, repo rate, junk status. We learned so much today. So thank you guys for tuning in. It was very nice. Thank you for the comments, the questions. We enjoyed this show. So please tune again next week, same time, 7 o'clock every Tuesday. Facebook, it's Strike Mangani. Please follow the page. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bold Move Radio. Bold Moves Radio. We love you so much. Good night.
Don't forget to sanitize, wear your mask, and go vaccinate. Bye.
Bye. And yes, next week it's gonna be more heated. You don't want to miss next week's session. Please make sure you come in on time and you interact. Goodbye. Good night. Why are you guys not waving?
No, don't forget to social distance. Don't breathe down someone's neck.